Hello, friends, and welcome to this week's edition of the Boot Room. Mark, Heath, Stuart Watson here to look ahead to the absolutely massive home game. Ipswich Town host Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow. In any definition, under any estimation, this is a big, big game for Ipswich Town and a big, big game for League One. Stewie, you spoke to Paul Cook this morning. What kind of mood was he in? What was he saying about this one?
Yeah, there's obviously a far brighter feeling about the place after Ipswich finally got that first win of the season at Lincoln last weekend. Relief was the first emotion, but very quickly the mindset changes to now we need to kick on. Now we need to get some momentum. Now we need to start undoing some of that early damage that has been done. So big game against Sheffield Wednesday, big week in general because Ipswich then host Doncaster on Tuesday and head to Accrington on the Saturday after that.
And Mr. Cook was talking about Ipswich Town this morning, wasn't he? How proud he is to be manager and his views on where they stand in the ranking of big boys in League One, Stewie. And he put Town, as you'd hope and expect, right at the very top, both in terms of size of club and nature of squad.
Yeah, I'll have to provide a little bit of context to that because I've seen already that news outlets at Portsmouth and Sheffield and others have already picked up on that. It was unprompted. Paul Cook was sort of talking in a meandering fashion about the game tomorrow and just said, for me, I think we're the best club with the best team in the division. And I came back to him on that further on and said, just to clarify, Paul, you're saying that because of your loyalty to the badge, your belief in Ipswich Town. That's not an arrogant sort of statement, because I knew how it would get picked up and how it would be perceived. Even with that clarification, it still has. But isn't it nice to hear Paul Cook talking in such terms about Ipswich Town and the pride that he has of being manager of this football club? He said, if I was to deliver success for Ipswich Town, that would be the highlight of my career. So, yeah, it's a really nice feel-good factor sort of bubbling going into this game at the moment. Just need a result now to keep things going.
Absolutely, which brings us on to the game itself. Clearly, 20,000 plus in Portman Road tomorrow. Huge game. Paul Cook's there talking about bringing success to Town. This is an opportunity to keep that ball rolling after that first win of the season. And there was a little bit of an update injury-wise, because that's always obviously a question going into a game, Stu. Who's going to play? Who's going to be fit? And before we get on to the team that we think will play tomorrow, a bit of an update on the old injury situation.
Yeah, we never get much of an update from Paul Cook, do we? He's very keen to keep his cards close to his chest, which is understandable. All we do know is that Hayden Coulson won't play. He limped off at Lincoln last weekend, and Matt Penny will come in to face the club that released him in the summer at left back. There does seem to be some other issues. Paul Cook said that there is at least one more player that won't be able to play from last weekend, which he's disappointed by, because he said if I had the chance, I'd have put the same team out again, but he can't. So we don't know the identity of that extra player at the moment. People have been trying to have a look at the training pictures that have come out on Twitter this week and see if there's any notable absentees. I wouldn't read too much into that, because I think those pictures were taken on Tuesday and injury setbacks could have happened since then. But, Ipswich are certainly not short of options to come in for whoever's injured, whichever position it is.
And just before we get on to the team, the expected starting 11, as far as we're concerned, there's some nice words as well, wasn't there, for Janoy Donasian, who is so often toiled in the shadows at Town and just kind of come in and out when needed, and always done a job. And obviously he's come in for KVY and done a great job against Lincoln last weekend. And as I say, Cook lauded him this morning in terms of his ability as a 1v1 defender.
Yeah, said he's probably our best 1v1 defender at the club. I'd agree with that. He came with a reputation as someone that just doesn't let wingers go past him. He's not as good as Kane Vincent-Young going forward, or certainly not as eye-catching going forwards, but defensive-wise, and that's what Ipswich needed last weekend, to go back to basics and to get that clean sheet that they'd missed. And Janoy had a really good game, kept Anthony Scully, one of the league's best in-form wingers, quiet at Lincoln. And he'll be up against another difficult opponent tomorrow in Shodipo, who is one of Sheffield Wednesday's most informed players. But yeah, used him as an example of just good attitude players that are out the team, but are fuss free. He said if everybody was like Janoy, then football would be a much easier game. Matt Penny also got similar sort of praise. Raheem Harper, who didn't start last weekend, came off the bench and made a good impact. Even people like James Norwood and Joe Pigott, who have not been starting games, but by all accounts have been quite lively figures behind the scenes. So there's a feeling that this team now, this new look squad, is starting to find their voices, starting to not just gel as a team on the pitch, but come together as a group of men off the pitch as well. And then, hopefully that's going to make a big impact going forwards.
Right, shall we look at the starting 11 for tomorrow then, Stu, and then we can kind of talk through some of the questions that arise from it. What do you think Cook is going to do at Portman Road tomorrow?
Well, he said that, as I said earlier, if he'd have had the chance, he'd have played the same team again. He knows that there's two debates in football: never change a winning team, or always try and play your best team that you have in mind. So the goalkeeper would have been the natural area of debate for that one. Do you stick with Václav Hladký following a very assured return to the team at Lincoln last weekend, or, if fit, we don't know if he is, Christian Walton, who has clearly been recruited as your first choice goalkeeper? Do you put him in if fit? It sounds like if regardless, Hladký will start again as long as he isn't one of these mystery injuries. So Hladký will be in goal. Donacien will be right back. He's certainly taken his chance last weekend. Matt Penny, as I've said, will come in for the injured Hayden Coulson against his former club. His last league start was at Cheltenham when he scored that thumping goal from the edge of the box. Burgess and Edmondson, both very good at centre-half last weekend. Midfield, still no Sam Morsey. He'll be available following his 3-match suspension for the Doncaster game on Tuesday night. So this is kind of the final audition to see who will partner him, you would imagine. So Carroll and Evans looked like a far better blend last weekend against Lincoln. So they will continue, again, with the caveat if one of those isn't one of the mystery injuries. And then, again, the front four, I'll describe it as was last weekend. Burns on the right, Fraser on the left, Bursant Selina as the number 10, who will be making his big Portman Road homecoming, and Macaulay Bonne up front. So there will be a few players in there that I think Bonne would be top of the list of players that people will really be hoping isn't this mystery injury that ruled someone out, because he's the hot hand at the moment, isn't he? The goals are flowing for him.
And I guess the other kind of notable absentee there would be Kyle Edwards, but we just don't know if he's fit, do we? As you say, Cook kind of won't talk about injured players in that way.
No, we don't know if he's fit. But even if he is, I think that would still be a big call. And, maybe a week or so ago, you'd say absolutely Kyle Edwards will walk straight back into the team. But I thought Fraser had a decent game last weekend. Him and Selina seem to have a bit of a natural chemistry there. Fraser drifting in from the left. Selina's natural instinct is to go out to that touchline. And they linked quite well. So even if Edwards is fit, say it's a 50-50, I don't think you'd be in such a rush to bring Kyle Edwards back. Even if he's fit enough for the bench, he's a nice option to have, isn't he?
Absolutely, a huge weapon to bring off the bench if that's what they decide to do. Prediction time then, Stu. As we say, Ipswich Town got the season up and running last weekend. A huge opportunity here to get 6 points, back-to-back home games, Sheffield Wednesday and Doncaster. And boy, how different things would look Wednesday morning if they did do that. What do you reckon then? What are you saying for this game? We've obviously talked about it on the podcast. I can't remember what you said on the podcast. And also you did your kind of forward 5, looking at the next 5 games. What are you feeling now as we sit here Friday lunchtime?
I've got it down as a 1-1 draw. And then if you really push me to which way it could go, I was toyed between a 1-1 draw and a 2-1 win for Ipswich. I'm kind of halfway between those two results at the moment. Sheffield Wednesday have got a very good squad on paper. You look at it, they've kept hold of people like Bannon. They've got Dominic Iorfa, who Ipswich fans know well, at the back. Shodapo, who I've mentioned on the left, who is in real form. Saido Berarino, who's played in the Premier League, was a bit of an eye-catching deadline day signing for them. He's come back from sort of a couple of wilderness years in Belgium, looking to reignite his career. Lee Gregory, they've got some good players, Sheffield Wednesday, and they got off to a really good start. 3 wins and a draw, didn't concede a goal in that period, but they've hit a couple of bumps in the road recently, and it might just be a little bit of a, welcome back to League One situation. Last couple of weeks, lost to Morecambe, lost 3-0 at Plymouth, were held to a 1-1 draw against Shrewsbury last weekend. So maybe, just maybe, this isn't a bad time for Ipswich to be hosting Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow, a club that have got just as much pressure on their shoulders as Ipswich. So first and foremost, I'm just really looking forward to this game. Two of the heavyweights of the division, two teams that are going to try and play football. Big crowd, 20,000+ there tomorrow. Sell out away end. It's going to be good.
I'm going to need to pin you down to predictions, Stu. You said 1-1 and 2-1. 1-1. 1-1, you're saying. I'm going to say, I think on the pod I said Town will score first. It'll be 1-1 at half time. And then I think Town are going to win 3-1. I hope against hope that Town get back-to-back wins here, because it is such a huge opportunity. As you say, it's going to be a special atmosphere at Portman Road tomorrow. And I really hope they can kick on and show that in the second half they can go on and win games as opposed to lose them, which is what we've seen so far this season. Turn things around. So I'm saying 3-1. Stu is saying 1-1. Whatever happens, I hope you enjoy the game. Follow it with us. Stu, Mike and Ross will all be there, and we'll be back to talk about it on Monday's pod. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you again.